Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first of two Clash of the Correspondents this week. And we've got the table toppers with us. Let me firstly introduce you to our Tottenham Hotspur correspondent, Ricky Saunders. How are you, Ricky?
I am superb. Thank you very much, James. You?
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, mate. And our Fulham correspondent, Dara Curran's in. How are you, Dara?
I'm very good. I was a bit confused there when he said table toppers. I thought you were going to come to me, and I was like, "Wait a minute, we're not nowhere near top."
Dara, we're equally as baffled, we should say as well. So, Ricky, I'll lead with the question: could we?
Well, yeah, of course we could. Are we? No, no. Let's just enjoy this while we have it. All it's going to take is one injury to one of about five players, and that's going to be us going back down to where we probably should be.
Where should we be?
Well, at the start of the season, I could have probably given you 8 teams that were better than us. I think we've all been a bit surprised how well the managers settled in and how well some of the signings have settled in. So realistically, 5th or 6th, I think. I think that's fair.
Are you getting tired of people asking, like I've just asked you?
No, because I find it quite flattering that they're even asking the question, and that's a sign of how well we've come on in a really short space of time. I think people generally ask me because they want me to say, "Yeah, of course we can," and then they can take the piss. So there's possibly an element of that as well. But I'll be honest, no, we can't. Well, yes, we can, but no, we won't. It's the elephant in a tree, mate. It's there. No one knows how it got there, but it's there.
Yeah, we're taking advantage here, listeners and viewers, to talk about something that happens once in a blue moon, about the possibility of Tottenham Hotspur winning a Premier League title.
Already
which is, as soon as you say the word, sounds absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? Dara, how do you see Tottenham at the moment as a neutral? How do you view them?
There looks to be something different this year compared to what there probably was last year. Like just certain games like the Sheffield United one or the Luton where they went down to 10 men, they probably would have crumbled in the past, whereas they managed to do enough to get over the line. Just looks to be a bit more resilience and a bit more belief behind the team. I don't know whether you guys agree with that, but I guess the style of play is it's not boring. It's not like boring you to death.
There's that, isn't it, Ricky? It's enjoyable at the moment, isn't it?
It's very enjoyable. I think we both said that we didn't really care whether we won, lose, or draw, or that wasn't the important thing. The important thing was to actually get football we wanted to watch again, and enjoyable football. The fact we're getting results is a massive bonus. The fact that we're a team that is playing for 95, 97, 98 minutes a game and pushing right to the end, that's something we haven't seen for quite a long time. We had a bit of a little spell under Poch of getting late winners and late equalisers, and we haven't really seen it since then, other than Stephen Berg one, but that was obviously a bit of a one-off.
It's interesting, though, is that things like what Dara said. You found a way to beat Sheffield United, and you found a way to beat Luton, who most people probably think would be the bottom two. I mean, that in itself gives you a little kind of dose of back to reality, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Yeah, they're going to probably be 19th and 20th, and yeah, we just about found a way to beat them. This is why this talk of Tottenham winning the title needs to be just curtailed a little bit.
Dara, you've beaten both of those two teams as well. Your only other victory was at Goodison on the opening day. Yeah. Is this a good start, a bad start, expected start? What has this been for Fulham so far?
I think considering everything that happened in the summer, it's probably a good start. I think we had maybe the 8th or 9th most difficult opening fixtures of all the clubs, or on the same number of points as we were after 8 games last season. So all things considered, to avoid being drawn into the bottom 3, I think we're in a decent position. There's obviously some issues, but we've managed to do enough to get 3 points in certain games and teams that we would hopefully want to beat, which has put us in a mid-table position at the moment. But there's a couple of tricky fixtures coming up, so we'll see after those where we lie.
Yeah, I mean, looking across your next 6, Tottenham away, then Brighton away, Manchester United at home, Aston Villa away, and it's Wolves at home, then Liverpool away. and a few after that, you got a trip to St James's Park as well. So there's a real tough run, despite the fact that's interesting. You've had a tough start, and yet it feels like you've still got tough games to go. I don't know if that tells us something about the strength of the league as an overall now as well. I think from the outside, Dara, for most of us, probably feels like scoring goals is becoming an issue. Fair?
Absolutely, 100%. We've obviously lost Mitrovic, and it feels at the moment like we just don't have that talismanic figure. There's almost like a question as who is our first choice striker at the moment, and I'm not sure if fans even know that the answer to that question, because nobody's stepping up to put their hand up and say, yeah, I'm going to be that guy that's going to get the goals.
When we sat down in the summer, and we obviously at that point was kind of at the height of expectation that maybe Mitrovic would go. We knew the interest had just started about then, and we'd obviously had the speculation about Marco Silva just before that as well. We'd kind of at that point got to the point where it looked like maybe he would stay, and obviously the season started and he stayed before moving on. But one of the things we discussed then, people saying, oh, look at Carlos Vinicius' price. And one of the things you and I were in agreement was, well, yeah, if Mitrovic goes, well, they'll buy a replacement forward, won't they? Yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Is that just because it came so late in the end? Because it didn't feel like there were many players being linked, or?
I don't know what the decision was, but it probably the club and maybe even the manager didn't want to rush into just spending big money on someone and it not being the right person. They'd rather wait. So I don't know, we could see something in January, maybe not. Depends how we're going. But it does feel at the moment like we do need a striker, although just from watching our games, I'm not sure if I think we probably are trying to adapt our style for life after Mitrovic, and that could be why it's just taken a little bit of while for everything to click. So we'll see how things go. The goals might start going for somebody, but at the moment it's looking very goal shy up front.
Yeah, there's positive signs and there's negative signs. I kind of keep flip-flopping in my mind because I think things like drawing at Arsenal is obviously an outstanding result. He was down to 10 men and managed to obviously get a result out of that, having been behind. The consistency of the beating the likes of Luton and Sheffield United is a must, in the sense that had you not, you'd be right down at the bottom with these teams. Everton, we can say he was fortuitous opening day. Palace away 0-0 is a decent result. You had the unfortunate, obviously, goal against City at 1-1 just before half-time when you were right in the game. Then I watched you against Chelsea, and it never felt like a West London derby, mate, as a neutral. I was like, come on.
We didn't show up at all.
Yeah.
It was awful. And the game was over before we even kind of made any fist of it at all. It was just a disaster.
It's worth saying as well, and I don't know if there's any point to this, Ricky, but the worst Tottenham performance so far this season, without a shadow of a doubt, was at Craven Cottage. In the Carabao Cup. Fulham were deserving winners that night in terms of advancing the competition. Do we read anything into that, Ricky?
I think the only thing we can read into it is we've had a lot of changes, which you probably read into it that our second 11 isn't good enough, but we knew that anyway. There's not a lot of surprises there, really. But yeah, he made a lot of changes, rightly or wrongly. And yeah, we got found out a little bit, really. Performance was pretty poor. A couple of individual performances were particularly poor. But yeah, we as I said at the start, an injury to any one of 5 players, and we're going to really struggle because our second 11 isn't up to it. Not challenging for title up to it anyway.
So how big a miss is Bissouma for this game, with that in mind?
For this game, not massive. I mean, for if he was out for a period of time, or sorry, Dara, but you know, a top tier team, then yes, he'd be a massive miss. I think we can cope without him for this game, but he needs to sort his shit out, quite frankly, because he's been getting a lot of bookings and he's going to miss a lot of games. And no team is easy to beat in this league. We've already found that out with Fulham. Struggled against Sheffield United and Luton. So yeah, we can't keep on losing players like that to stupid little yellow cards.
So how do you view them then? You've kind of just said, well, it's Fulham at home. We should be able to cope without Bissouma. How do you view Fulham?
Fulham is always a tough game. We never have an easy game against them. Obviously, I'd like to think we've got more quality than them. And a home game, we should be beating. I'd say we're capable of beating any team at home with a couple of obvious exceptions. So I always favour us at home. But Fulham are lacking a little bit of quality, certainly lacking a little bit up front. I think that our defence should be able to cope with what they've got up front. But yeah, I mean, if Paulini is not playing, Fulham are a completely different side. Obviously, I'm guessing he will be at the weekend, but any time he misses, Fulham go from being a decent bottom top half team to middle of the bottom half team.
How big is he, Dara? With that in mind, I speak about him a lot because I think he's an absolutely superb player.
Yeah, he's massive. I'm delighted that he stayed, and he's obviously just knuckling down and getting on with it. Because whoever we got in, if he was to go in the summer, they wouldn't have been half the player. At least that now gives us, if he goes in January, we've got an extra 3-4 months to actually find an adequate replacement. If he stays longer than that, fantastic, great. But he's huge. Just the number of tackles and what he does breaking a play and setting attacks going.
At that point on deadline day, where he was obviously in Munich.
Oh, I thought it was done.
What are you thinking at that point? Are you thinking, no, Sugar Mitrovic has gone, he's going to go as well, this is our two best players, kind of almost crisis in terms of expectation for the immediate season?
Yeah, well, especially with some of the names that were linked with us, I was like, just going for fuck's sake. And I just thought that if he had gone, and especially with our fixtures, we could have been on like 1, 2, 3 points after 8 games, and even Silva could have gone at that point. Like, it could have been a very different picture. So luckily he's there, and he hasn't thrown his toys out of the pram.
You are two different teams when he plays and when he doesn't, though. Is that fair? We keep saying that. Like, it's obvious when he doesn't play.
Yeah, we were absolutely hockeyed last year in a couple of games. Newcastle United, was it 4-5-1? Yeah, we're just very exposed in the middle when he's not there. There's not the same type of player that can come in and do the job that he does.
Is he underrated on the ball as well? Because I think the instincts to talk about him, like winning tackles, like we've said and stuff.
I'm not sure about his passing in terms of just his creativity, but he's got a bit of a shot from distance. He's popped up with a fair few goals last season.
You said you mentioned about perhaps concern about players getting linked to replace him. Do you want to name any names?
Who was your guy?
The guy that's going to have to play instead of Bissouma against you next Monday.
He's actually going to play though.
You're talking about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, obviously.
Højbjerg, McTominay. They're just not the same players. They're just not.
It's an ironic kind of full circle, Ricky, isn't it? That now Højbjerg's possibly going to play against Fulham and stand in for Bissouma in that role.
Yeah, absolutely. And Højbjerg actually has done really well this season. He's played obviously a very different role to what he has done since he came to us, coming on to quieten things down and shore things up. And he's actually done really, really well. He's had a couple of excellent performances. I probably shouldn't be worried, but I am a little bit worried about him starting. But he's actually done fairly well for us. But we play a far different style now to what we were when Højbjerg was our first pick central midfielder. So I'm a little bit worried of how he's gonna, or how the team is going to adapt to him being in there and not Bissouma.
So Dara, do you target that? Who's going to play? Is it Pereira in the 10 position? Because it feels like you move more towards a 4-3-3 this year. So perhaps there won't be direct kind of pressing pressure on Højbjerg in that position.
I feel like Silva has tried to implement more of a possession-based style of football this year, and especially against teams like Luton and Sheffield United, when they sat deep, we found it really difficult to break them down. I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we have the quality to play that style of game against Tottenham. So I'm hoping that we do sit back a little bit, not necessarily like deep, but just to almost cede the possession a little bit and counter, like the goal against Sheffield United. Bobby Reid's goal was fantastic, and that's the kind of thing that we did. That's the kind of thing that we did a lot last season. Was we just pressed high, won the ball back, and countered. And I think that's probably where we'll have more joy rather than trying to take Tottenham on at their own game and pass it around, because we'll just get our pockets picked.
Ricky, it feels so different from that perspective, isn't it? Almost willing Dara to say, yeah, we're going to come and attack you. Is that almost like what you'd want to hear?
Oh, yeah. I want teams to attack us and play a high line. The teams we've struggled against this season are the ones that have dug in, and they've defended in numbers and have defended deep. Any team that is going to come at us, I fancy us to do well in. We'll always score against them. It's just a case of whether we can keep them out of the other end. So when I hear Dara say that, I think it's going to be a long old game if Fulham are going to sit deep and dig in. That's one thing we have lacked, in all honesty, is finding. For as much as Maddison has added that creativity, we're still finding it a little bit difficult to unpick the lock sometimes.
Go on, Dara, I think there was something you were going to say there. Go on.
I mean, that's just how I would approach the game. Silva could have a completely different. Like, if he goes for it, I do worry with balls in behind, and
I think you'll be sensible. I don't think you're just going to come and just play a low block and just sit and try and walk away with a 0-0. I don't think you've not really got the players necessarily to just completely out and out do that, actually. But I do think of some of the stronger away games you had last year, like the 0-0 at Chelsea, for example. Like you went for it at the same time, but you defended outstandingly well on the night as well. So I think probably halfway house is quite important. Ricky, talk to us about Ange then. How happy are you with him?
You mentioned his name and my face lights up. I said this when we did correspondent week. Before he was linked, I'd never really heard of him. I'd heard his name mentioned a little bit in Scottish football, had no idea who he was. It was a mate of mine who said, he really rated him, watched him for Celtic and watched his Celtic team play in Europe, and he really rated him and thought he'd be great for us. I had no idea. So I didn't really have a lot of expectation. But the more I see of him, I love his football as a man. He's a brilliant character. Everybody loves him. He's got rival fans and rival pundits gushing about us, or about him at least anyway. Just what a guy. The players love him, the fans love him, the media loves him. It's just amazing. The football he plays is brilliant to watch. It's attacking. Every player seems to have bought into it really, really quickly as well. There's a couple of players that he said wouldn't feature a lot until they'd learned the system. They've been integrated way, way quicker. Porro, Velez, Brennan Johnson, they've come in much, much quicker because everyone's just buying into it so well. I'm just guessing what he does on the training ground is so simple to follow that everybody gets it.
Does it matter that he's a good man? Do we feel that more because of the managers we've had recently?
Yeah, I think it does. We've had Mourinho, who is a prick. We had Conte, who is a prick, an even bigger prick. We had.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry. I mean, Conte is a bit warped, but Mourinho is the biggest prick of all, and always will be.
Yeah. No, I think towards it's possibly a bit unfair because Conte went through more last year than possibly any football manager has ever gone through in the space of 12 months. With the people that he lost, and so I'd walk around with a permanent grimace on my face if I went through what he went through. But he was spiky towards everybody that he came near last year. The attack on the club, notwithstanding as well, attack the players, attack the club, rightly or wrongly, but there's a time and a place for that. But yeah, after the characters that we've had, very divisive characters, to have someone that's come into the club and has pulled everybody together, gets everybody involved from, right from the very top, right to the very bottom, not just players, but everybody at the club. It's an absolute breath of fresh air. I don't want a club that everybody hates.
No, but to be honest, if we're rubbing people up the wrong way, that doesn't bother me as long as it's going well either at the same time. But I had forgotten how powerful it is when everyone pulls in the same direction, mate. It really is. Just like you mentioned about home games as well. You can feel it already thinking, yeah, whoever you are, come, good luck.
Yeah. You want to come and play football with us, that's on you. Because, we can do damage to any team that wants to play football. Something else he's done. And I don't understand why no other manager did this. So it was when I played Football Manager, it's one of the things I used to do all the time. You make sure that the tactics for all of your youth setups are the same as the first team. So that when players, if you need to call upon youth players, they know exactly the system is. We haven't been doing that. I'd struggle. I mean, maybe it's because Mourinho and Conte didn't really give a shit about youth, and Ange does. But the way that the youth teams, the under-18s and the under-21s are playing, I know he's not managing them, but it's his tactics, it's his setup.
It's remarkable already.
Yeah, and they're top of the table. Both of them are top of the table. It's staggering the impact that he's had, and say everybody has bought into him as a man, as a manager, his philosophy. And my club, I mean, I haven't got to tell you how disengaged the fan base was at the end of last season. It's a completely different club in a space of 4 or 5 months. You couldn't recognise the place. And
he's solely responsible, isn't he?
Yeah, it's him. It's all down to him. Every single bit of it. The players haven't changed that much. I've had a couple of players come in, a couple go out, but the mood of that place is all down to him.
And that's despite the fact there are things off the field still making people unhappy. Certainly at Tottenham, we know before the Manchester United game in Game Week 2, there was protests outside the ground about rising ticket prices. And Dara, that links quite nicely to yourselves, because I understand you're also planning a protest prior to playing Manchester United as well. Your owner, Mr. Khan, I know he's very unhappy at the moment, losing rating wars with WWE's development unit at the moment, NXT. Is he way too not focused on Fulham at the moment, mate?
Who knows? It doesn't appear like it, and I think a lot of fans have thought it for some time that you can't be managing or looking after the Jackson Jaguars and WWE and Fulham. You can't give them your whole attention, and it doesn't appear that way. I'm not sure if anything has changed in the background. Nothing seems to have been announced, but I'm hoping someone else has kind of had more of an influence and he's taken a step back. But there's very few people who are making all the decisions, and he's probably one of them that is dictating these prices. And yeah, they're pretty grim. Like, they're the most expensive tickets in the UK, which is unbelievable. For
more than Oz.
How much? There's the
Ricky
Wolves,
just went, can't be.
the Wolves game on the Monday night. There's tickets available online for £180.
It's staggering.
Through the Fulham website, not through a tout or any other sell-on.
I take it this is in this new Riverside.
This is in
stand.
the newsstand, yeah, which isn't even finished.
And no, apparently, although it looks finished, I was there, mate. Like, it looks finished.
Yeah. Oh, did you go? Did you go for the?
We were both. Game? We were both.
I was in it for the cup as well.
The Putney end. I mean, it looks finished, doesn't it, Ricky?
It was a disaster getting out of it. Just a backlog of people trying to get out one turnstile at the end. It was a nightmare.
Well, I don't know why it takes so long, because the entire middle section's got no fans in it. You've only got what seems a couple of hundred fans in either corner, and the whole middle section, there's nobody there.
Yep.
Is that what it is? A health and safety thing now? Because I know you've had problems with your contractors for that stand was the same guys who have cocked up the Anfield Road end at Liverpool, and now they're saying, despite the fact that was nearly finished, that will be at least into next year before it gets finished now. So you have had problems with the contractors going into administration. But is it as much that? Have they built this and not got the health and safety right in terms of going in and out the stand?
I don't know the ins and outs of it. I know we've got a new contractor now, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. It's going to take forever. It's next year at least before it's going to be finished. It won't be open this season.
That's madness,
which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
To all of us, to the naked eye, it looks done.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's staggering that. But to go back to the ticket prices, that doesn't help the mood around a football club, does it, Dara?
No, I'm not sure if they care. I honestly don't. And I think it affects the players on the pitch as well, because Silva keeps banging this drum about the fans. We need the fans to make the difference. If the tickets aren't going to genuine fans, then, because for the most part it seems like it's tourists or it's the opposition fans that are buying memberships and snapping up the tickets. They are selling out, which is a bit annoying. That kind of almost proves the club's point, but they're not going to the right people.
I mean, it's catch-22 a little bit, isn't it? Because unfortunately, in the Premier League, you will fill any game now because of where you are, and the demand to go and see Premier League football in a city like London is if Fulham fans don't go, you can fill it with away fans or, as you said, tourists and stuff. And so therefore the club will look at it and go, well, tickets getting sold, what you said, they don't care. If a bum's on a seat, they don't care, do they?
No, but then, I mean, the Carabao Cup, you obviously were sat in the Riverside stand along with many other 1,000 Spurs supporters. I think they had to shut off the ticket sales because so many Spurs supporters were behind them on the day.
Yeah. I know it was going around to a lot of Tottenham groups saying, like, look, you can buy tickets in Fulham tonight. And it was, but that's Carabao Cup, mate. So that wouldn't have been the case if it was a Premier League game, in fairness.
But even our away games, they're not selling it. Like, it's gone in seasons past. Like, I got a ticket for Spurs and I'm only a member. It never would have got the members. It would have been loyalty points.
So why is that? Because with respect, you're not a large football club. I think it's fair to say.
No.
So, but why is that then that you found that easy? Because I promise you, it feels like you got to kill someone to get an away ticket with Tottenham.
Couldn't tell you.
So that's on side of support a little bit, but also that kind of unhealthy nature where I think the fandom's not happy with the club, let's say, rather than
fine for me, because I'm happy to take the away day. I'll go away day FC for 30 quid a pop all season rather than paying 180.
Well, that's it. You can go to 6 away games for the price of one home game in fair. And we should clarify that's obviously going to be sort of most expensive seat at Fulham. That's not all the ticket price, but they are outrageous anyway. I mean, the Putney end, mate, it just feels like it's on a temporary stand. And I think I've seen ticket prices for Man United are going to be sort of like 70, 80 quid on there, for example. I mean, that's not on.
Yeah, I mean, even the Sheffield United ones were, I think it was £59 up to £84. Like, that's ridiculous. Who take that pricing?
So are you just not?
And that's behind the goal. Then you're talking 105 in the Riverside for Sheffield United. Like, no disrespect.
Are you not going at the moment?
I went to Luton because I got a ticket for about 30 quid, 40 quid maybe, which is fine. But then how they compared Luton and Sheffield United, that the price jumps up another 20, 30 quid for a ticket. Like, that's just nonsense.
Tomo, if you're listening, let us know. Please do. All right, let's talk a little bit of FPL then. Ricky, who's your game week 9 captain?
Hang on, I better check. I don't know.
Okay, let's tell you. Salah's got Everton at home. Haaland's got Brighton at home. Arsenal are at Chelsea. We've got Fulham. You might have noticed that bit.
Yeah, I think I've got that one. At the moment, it's going to be Salah.
Have you got Sonny?
I have got Sonny, yes.
Go on then, tell us why.
Well, why Salah?
Yeah. I mean, not so much why Salah. I mean, that's kind of okay, but why Salah over Sonny on this particular game?
Actually, I've just checked my bus team and I am currently bussed on Sonny. So
right, so don't tell us then.
It's going to be, to be fair, you could Haaland, Brighton, Watkins maybe. But yeah, Son, Salah, Haaland, it's going to be a really tough one. Probably got it on Sonny at the minute just because it's good for morale. And we all love Sonny. But Salah, Everton are pretty poor defensively. But then again, I don't know, Liverpool, it's never normally a spanking, is it? So it's going to be a real tough one. But I might chicken out and just in the end up going for Haaland because Brighton are very leaky at the back at the moment.
Dara, for you?
I've just looked at it now. I've got it on Darwin at the moment, which is probably
Interesting.
just because that's the only Liverpool player I've got. Vice is on Son, but I'm sure closer to the deadline I'll review that. And
so you've not got Salah. I presume, therefore, you do have Haaland.
I've got Haaland, yeah.
Have you got Son?
I've got Son.
So you'd go. I mean, Darwin might not even start. It's worth adding.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're
quite aware of that.
Yeah. So if it was Haaland or Son, where are you going?
Yeah, it's tricky. I don't know. I'd have to get all the team news first before I'd make any kind of decision.
I'll tell you, I've got Haaland and Son. I'm definitely catching Haaland. It's not a doubt for me. It's just on basically the games. I know what I'm going to get. Brighton aren't going to go to Man City and go, oh shit, low block, whatever. They're going to go there and try and play football with them. Whereas we've just discussed it, haven't we? This will be hard for us, Ricky, right?
Yeah, well, I think what will possibly seal it. Well, two things: A, Fulham may well digging deep, but Basuma, we're not going to be as good going forward with Højbjerg. So we're not going to possibly create as much chances. So I think Haaland is the sensible choice. Certainly with Brighton's form at the minute, they are conceding a lot of chances and goals.
You just clarify for the listeners and the viewers, Ricky, why that would be that you think Højbjerg playing instead of Basuma means Tottenham create less chances?
He's not as good as a ball carrier, so he may well win the ball, but he's going to be looking to pass maybe backwards, maybe sideways. Basuma will win the ball and he's head up, right? Who's running? Who? How can I progress this football? It's not going to be as fluid as it has been. Certainly not.
Okay, so Sonny's in for all of us, and it's definitely worth consideration for captaincy, depending on how you're feeling. What other Tottenham you got, Ricky?
Maddison and Destiny.
Okay, we've got the same three. Interesting. Dara, have you got any other Tottenham?
I've got the same three.
Wow. Okay, so we've all got the same three. Okay, let's go the other end of the pitch then, Ricky. Is Destiny Udogie Tottenham's best defensive asset in FPL?
No.
Why have we all got him?
Because we couldn't afford Porro. Is the answer, which we probably can now because there's not a lot between them. Like I was very, very big on Udogie at the start of the season. I made that really, really clear before we'd even kicked a ball. I was raving about him.
Did you get him for game week 1?
Yep, I've had him and Maddison since game week 1. Sonny, I got in for the Sheffield United game.
Okay, this is the same guy on Correspondent Week said, forget clean sheets if you're getting Tottenham defenders, basically, right?
But attacking potential. But no, if you've got no Tottenham defensive, or you've got a couple of pips in the bank, and you want to make a transfer, Porro is the one to go to for Tottenham. He's in and around the box. He's involved in a lot. He's putting in crosses. He's getting shots off. He's a lot more attacking than Destiny is. He's the one to have 100%.
Are you thinking of flipping it?
I've got to think about it, but I did nail my colours to the mast at the start of the season. I'm going to try and be as stubborn as I can do.
You are allowed to change your mind, and
I know.
Just told everyone Porro's a better asset, Ricky.
I will. I'm going to stick with what I've got for the minute because points wise, there's not a lot to choose between them. It's not like Porro's getting X amount of points more per game than Destiny is. Should that change, then yes, I will need to consider flipping it.
Porro's going to have like an 18-pointer somewhere, though, isn't he? Somewhere.
Oh, he's going to go off. you've got to assume that it's going to be a one-off thing, because he's not going to be getting that kind of output every single week. But yeah, he's going to go out there. He's going to get a goal, assist, a clean sheet, some bonus points. He's due for a massive haul somewhere not too far down the line.
He very nearly got one against Luton. I mean, he was put through on goal, and he also didn't he set up Son as well for one chance. I mean, if you remember towards the tail end of the season as well, I think the last 2 game weeks he absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, he's done just kind of non-FPL, but he's adapted in a way we didn't think, Ricky, as well, right?
No, I mean, Emerson started the first game. Emerson got a goal in that first game as well. So,
and Emerson played well.
His position to lose. Yeah, played really well. But then Porro was in for the next game, and it hasn't even been a consideration since then. He has adapted like you just would not believe to that position, and he's been absolutely superb for us this year.
So is there any doubt for you? Because I get it weekly, so it's which one do you prefer? And I'm like, look, since game week 4, it's been the same answer for me every week since that Burnley game became no doubt in my mind after that one that Porro was definitely the right way to go. But I still get every week someone will say, "Are you not worried about Emerson? You're not worried that Emerson's going to come in for rotation and stuff like that?"
No, not at the moment. Not with the way that Porro's playing. Absolutely not.
He's more of a threat, though, than, say, Ben Davies to Udogie. Is that fair?
Yes, because Ben Davies is he will end up playing as a left centre back before he plays as a left, or as a left wing back, or left winger almost. So yeah, no, I don't think Emerson Royal can do to a degree what Pedro Porro does. Ben Davies probably can't anymore. His legs aren't there. He's a
my type,
yeah, brilliant servant for the club. He has played that position. He has played it well. Was he 32, 33? He hasn't got the legs anymore, bless him.
If something happened to Udogie, who would you play there? Not who do you think, Ange? Who would you play at left back if something happened to Udogie?
It wouldn't be Ben Davies. It would. That's a really good question. I almost want to say someone like Rondon or some Rondon.
Rodon, he's at Leeds.
Solomon.
Solomon. Man of Solomon, he's out for 3 months, bless him.
Yeah, obviously it would have been.
Well, no, Dara probably doesn't care after the way he left Fulham.
We haven't come on to that yet. I wouldn't be looking to play a defender there. I'd be looking to play a winger there. Maybe even Brian Hill.
Left back, mate, and go into midfield. Sure. For me, I would just play Emerson now.
Play Emerson on the left?
Yeah, I'd just play him at left back, yeah. Because as you said, he's the easiest one who can adapt. And one thing with Emerson is he's all right defensively, right?
He's very. I would have said he was our best defender. He was our best defender last year. I think Mickey van der Ven might take that title now. But yeah, I hadn't considered swapping Emerson over to the left.
Okay. I'll come back onto the centre backs before we finish. Dara, have you had any thought? Because I can see you nodding away on this Pedro Porro stuff as well. Have you had any thought of getting Udogie up to Porro? Or is it just a case? I've never got the luxury to do it. Basically.
Yeah, I'd love to, but I don't. I think I've probably got bigger issues that I want to probably chop and change in the next couple of weeks, and it'll just be forgotten about. I would love to get him in, but yeah, if I had like 2 transfers and I had nothing to do, and I was just going to burn one otherwise, then and I had the money, then that's what I'd be looking to do. But I don't have that luxury. Yeah, I've wildcarded.
You've done it, okay. But have you wildcarded, Ricky?
Yeah, I did it last week. I was in a bit of a mess, and I had to.
So why have you not got Porro?
I've got the money to do it as well.
Why have you not?
Yeah, I think that the difference.
You've gone proper stubborn here because you said about Udogie in pre-season, right?
Yeah, I've nailed my colours to the mast. I can't change.
I've got to say, for the benefit of those on the audio, it's like Ricky never realised he could do it.
Do you know what? I probably didn't even look at it. I just thought, yeah, and Doggy stays. You know, this I'll keep these 4 or whatever, and the rest can go. And yeah, Damn it.
That's gold, mate. I was literally going to say to you, if you wildcarded next week, would you still go Porro? And what I was going to say about it is, Fulham, with respect to Dara's team, is an attractive fixture coming up. Certainly, even from a defensive aspect, we've spoken about potential problems of scoring goals. Once you hit game week 10, though, Palace away, Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Villa at home, City away, West Ham, Newcastle. That's a tougher run. And a lot are going to wildcard in game week 10. Would you still go for a Tottenham defensive asset, or would you just look at other teams?
No, this is where having Destiny is actually pretty good, because at 4.5, what I bought him at, he can just sit on my bench. I would have a much bigger problem keeping Porro on my bench.
It's fair, that, yeah.
So yeah, this is probably part of my subconscious thinking when I wasn't looking at making the change.
No. He's a very valid point, though, because I've made the comment about, say, people will have this now, like Porro, Trippier, Cash. If you go with that three, and particularly with Villa's fixtures coming up, like, you're not benching them three. You wouldn't be comfortable benching Kieran Trippier, particularly in any game, right? Cash could play right midfield for Villa, and Pedro Porro can end up as a right side of 10, basically, for Tottenham in certain phases of the build-up. So, yeah, I get that. You'd be looking at things like Chelsea at home, and you think, I don't really want to bench him. But with Udogie, you think, oh, someone else got a better fixture. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting that's something psychological. It's not like Destiny can't get attacking returns and can't deliver a 12 or 15 pointer, Ricky, right? He can.
They've both scored 32 points this season. They've both got 2 assists this season. They're identical.
Udogie's played one more game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I'd still want to go Pedro if I was wild card in 10. But what about Sonny and Maddison, Ricky? Would they stay after the Fulham game? What are you thinking of doing? Are they just long-term holds for you?
Maddison, I'd say is. Sonny, when I did my before I did my wild card, actually, I got rid of Saka, which was a mistake, and I need to rectify it. And the only way I can do really is possibly sacrificing Son, and he's the guy that I'll look to maybe move on.
Presumably that's after the Fulham game.
Yeah.
With Arsenal playing Sheffield United, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Dara, what's your thoughts on Son, Maddison longer term?
Before you said that, I was thinking of keeping Son, but seeing as I don't have Salah, that's probably something that I need to address, and that would potentially be my route to getting him in. I think I'll have to lose one of the two, but I'm not sure which one just yet. Probably Son, just because of the money that's in there.
I think as well, like we spoke about captaincy, and plenty will go with Son this week for captaincy, which is fine. But then you look at that run that I said, sort of 10 to 16, and you don't need to be captain Son or Maddison. But I think if you're trying to cover a Salah or you're trying to cover a Haaland, you've got to have some Arsenal involvement in there, I think, basically. And that's where, yeah, I can see the Son to Saka move for you will be pretty popular there, Rick. It will not popular, but you know what I mean. It's a move.
Unpopular, but it's
it's a move that's possibly going to make sense for you. What do you make, Ricky, of James Maddison's returns? And what I mean by that is the fact that they all seem to be away from home, and because you can say small sample this season. This isn't just a this season thing, though. This goes back to last season. I think 21 of his last 23 Premier League away games, he's delivered an attacking return. He's under 50% in home games. Can you put your finger on why that is?
No, I can't at all. I mean, certainly for us, I mean, I don't really know what the Leicester fans felt about him. But for us, I mean, we'll love him. He gets loads of support at home. His name's sung. Everything about the guy, once again, is fantastic. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of pressure, possibly, because you have got 60,000 fans there singing your name. Maybe there is a little element of pressure about it. I honestly don't know.
We should add in as well. Look, we've only played 3 home games, and 2 of them were against teams people would have expected maybe to finish in the top 4. certainly at least one of them, but I think a lot would have said Liverpool, Manchester United in pre-season. And he potentially played the Sheffield United game with a bit of a problem, we think, as well, because he came off right towards the end as well, maybe.
Well, I think he was injured for a lot of last season, or not injured, but carrying an injury for a lot of last season with Leicester. Even when he was back in the side, he wasn't playing fully fit, so that might have something to do with it. Certainly for last season. And I think Son and Maddison are both carrying knocks, and they've been taken off routinely pretty much around the 70, 75-minute mark.
But in those 3 home games I mentioned, I can't think where he came close to scoring. And I don't know if it's just a weird coincidence. I don't know if it's something where playing for us and possibly for Leicester previously as well, there's a little bit perhaps it's a bit slower in the sense that you're going to have a little bit more of the ball and therefore he goes a lot deeper earlier, maybe. But then I really like when he scored against Bournemouth, that's the deepest he played. Like, he literally had a set instruction in that game to go and join Bissouma as part of a double pivot, and yet he scored in that game. So I just feel like it's a wild coincidence, and I think that's what you're saying as well.
I think it's just coincidence. It's certainly nothing to do with his ability. It's just I just think it's literally that, a coincidence. It's like Harry Kane couldn't score a goal in August. Well, it doesn't matter what month it is; he can score goals. It's just a coincidence that he didn't score a goal for 3 or 4 August in a row.
Yeah, I mean, Kane obviously historically, ironically, had a better record away from home than
Best
at home as well.
record, I think, of
history. I think
in the history of the Premier League. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Dara, who's your FPL goalkeepers, mate?
Areola and Leno.
Yes. So I'm just going to say that. So what's the plan now? Does Leno just sit on the bench every week, or what's the plan here?
I think I might play him this week, actually. I think he'll just pick up some saves, even if we do concede.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly reasonable this week. Obviously, both teams have difficult fixtures. After that, though, West Ham really do have a good run, though. Do you potentially flip that afterwards and go, he's going to sit on the bench for me?
Plan to rotate them at different stages. Don't think either one will stay in full time. So yeah, depending on the fixture and depending on the opposition, I'll switch them in.
He's joint highest scoring FPL goalkeeper with Sam Johnson of Crystal Palace at the moment. I take it you just view him as long-term hold, Leno, Dara.
Yeah, why not? I mean, will Johnson lose his spot eventually?
I don't think so, because I think Henderson obviously had a big injury, didn't he? So I don't know how long he's going to be out. Yeah,
I'm happy enough to hold him. I think for his price, it's fine. There's nobody jumping out that's 5 million that I'd want to get. There's not really. I mean, I had what's his name? Turner, is it?
Yeah.
I don't really see them keeping a huge number of clean sheets. I think.
Thank you for saying that. I've got Luton at home and I'm going to play him this week. Cheers, Dara.
Just a bonus points that Leno seems to be getting as well. Obviously, the way we play, I know probably doesn't have a huge amount, but he's probably hitting his 30 passes or whatever a game, and he's picking up save points, and that all kind of contributes. We're not obviously scoring, so if it's a tight game and we're winning 1-0 and he's keeping a clean sheet, he's going to be in the bonus points.
Is he, in seriousness, is he the only Fulham player you could consider at the moment for FPL? Or is there something we're missing?
No, that's the only one that looks worthy of selection at the moment. There's probably a few positions within the squad that are up. There's a bit of competition and they're up there's competition for places. They're up for grabs. I think Iwobi probably should be starting, whether that's on the wing or in place of Pereira. Obviously Diop is now injured, so Bassi would probably get a shout in there alongside Ream. And nobody's really grabbed the striker spot, and the wingers seem to rotate quite a lot. Where if you look at last season, you could pretty much pick the first 11 like it picked itself. And this season, even though for the most part it has been the same, I think there's guys that are really knocking on the door to be included just because the performances haven't been fantastic from other other players. I think Lukic as well in centre midfield is probably worthy of a spot every now and again. He just offers something different.
Me and Suj had a heated debate, but I think a very interesting debate after you lost at City, I think was your fourth game, because your fixtures 5 to 8 were pretty kind, right? You had Luton at home at the start, Sheffield United at home at the end, in between the trip to Palace, and obviously Chelsea at home in game week 7. So you get 2 clean sheets in that period. But we had a debate about Harry Wilson. And I said, for those who were looking to wild cards, sort of like now, game week 9, Harry Wilson, not a terrible punt for 4 weeks. And Suj said to me, he said, there's no point. You don't need to take that sort of gamble. And of course, it's absolutely been proven right. It's not helped that rotation's been there with Decordova-Reid and Willian as well. But for anybody who has gone for these sort of players, have they got to go? If anyone has gambled like Wilson or Decordova-Reid, should you be moving them on now this fixture swings over?
Yeah, I thought, what price are they? 5.5. Surely there's better out there at that price. I just can't see enough goals. I do think some of these players, like especially Wilson, he's quite close to things actually clicking for him. Like he came on in the last game and hit the post, and he's had a few nice through balls that have set players up and they've just missed on the other end of things. So it's not far away from clicking, but like for the number of goals that we're scoring, I just can't see it. Like you're probably going to bench them every week anyway. So 5.5 million on the bench, nah, not for me.
No, in agreement, unfortunately. What would you say to the 90,000 odd who own Raul Jimenez? Yes, that's a real number.
That's mad.
I mean, in fairness, probably half of them are robots, mate.
But yeah, nah, surely not. He's not even guaranteed to start.
Who would you want in the first instance up front? If it was up to you, if you're picking the team Monday night at Tottenham, who do you want to play up front?
Completely different things. They're not the same players at all. I do like Jimenez. I think he's just massively lacking in confidence, and he scored a pretty special goal for Mexico the other night. Hopefully that'll do him the world of good, but he just looks devoid of confidence in front of goal. Like he's passing when he should be shooting, and he's just indecisive. Like any other striker who was banging them in would just be hitting the net or taking a shot on, and he's trying this audacious passes that aren't on. He just doesn't have the confidence to take the shot.
No, but like I watched a game at Arsenal and he had this outrageous effort that he nearly scored with, and you just think like if it had dropped in, this whole thing might have been different for him, but it probably is playing on his mind now.
Oh, he hasn't scored in forever. He just needs that one goal.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I'm looking at it as a Tottenham fan thinking, I don't mind if he plays next week.
Yeah, I mean,
and
Vinicius,
I've rated him so highly before the injury.
It's quite frustrating. There's definitely a player in there, but he just needs that. He needs that goal and he needs the confidence.
By the way, I was impressed with Muniz in the Carabao Cup game.
So was I. He had some big chances in that game. Yeah. And
yeah, he was a handful.
Interestingly, he came on as a substitute rather than Jimenez in the last game. Don't know what that says. That just throws more doubt again into like who actually is where in the pecking order for me. I don't know who. It could be any one of them on any given day at this point.
Yeah. Vinicius is 4.8 though.
Yeah, but he's going to get sent off. Look, have you seen him with his arms flailing all over the place? Like he's a liability.
Hopefully Monday night, mate. There's no reason for him to be ratty about playing us.
I will never forget Vinicius' celebration after scoring against Marine. And after that, I thought, no, mate, you no.
The best was the goal was from about 2 yards as well, wasn't it? He did score a cracking goal for the third in that game, to be fair. But yeah, it was like, what are you doing, mate? I quite like him though. In serious, if he does get in the team, Dara, at 4.8, he's ideal kind of backup sub every week if he can knock down the shirt. And I feel like you might be a bit better off with him, right? Look at the later. You spoke about that Decordova-Reid goal, right? He's played an integral part of that with the ball being fed into him and draws.
I think he offers a little bit more. He obviously knows the players a bit better. Like he finished last season in good form. I was quite surprised that Jimenez went straight in. And now we're in a position where Jimenez hasn't got that goal and you have to take him out for somebody else, or, well, that's the way it looks, which can't be good for his confidence either. So it's really difficult situation. I don't know. I don't think just neither of them are. If you put the two players together, you probably get the attributes of Mitrovic, but none of them have everything together, it's really annoying. But,
yes or no question. Do you think you'll score at Tottenham?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
I wouldn't put money on it, but I could see us scoring.
But probably from one of the midfield players, or from a set piece or something like that. Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned obviously about Diop's injury. Is there a prognosis on that? Do you know yet?
After the game, they said he heard a crack in his foot, which I've kind of been trawling the internet, and someone said metatarsal or something along those lines.
That'll be a bad enough prognosis, by the way, mate.
Yeah, that would be weeks to months.
Yeah, there's probably
Definitely.
more months, to be honest. I think, judging by, I think that's what Lisandro Martinez has been really troubled by, isn't it? I think. And Harvey Barnes is underneath the metatarsal, I think, which they've said 3 months, haven't they? So I part asked because obviously to the naked eye, Bassi will go in quite clearly and quite highly rated. But him and Ream both want to play left-sided centre-back, don't they?
Yeah.
That's a problem, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
Go on.
I think it's probably only a matter of time before Bassi does start on ahead of Ream. That's not to say that Ream's been terrible or anything, but I think there's definitely shaky moments in certain games that he's had. And anytime I have seen Bassi, he's just looked immense when he's come on. So I think he's really banging on the door to start some games.
I meant more from the perspective of one of them's got to play right-sided centre-back. Presumably for a prolonged period here.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess that'll be Bassi, wouldn't it? Probably.
I don't know. We'll see what comes out in the pressers next week. There was a training session sort of a thing for season ticket holders in the newsstand that they went along to watch them train, and there was a media day, and apparently it came out that Diop's injury wasn't that bad, but I mean that's just word of mouth that's come through. That could mean anything really. That could just mean it's not going to be months, it might be 4 to 6 weeks.
Short term, yeah,
right.
Sure. Ricky, let's do some quick fire on Tottenham, otherwise we'll be 2-hour podcast here. Richarlison, talk to owners. That was a fair few bought last week.
Yeah. I not for me, mate. Not for me. He might get, well, he will get some game time, obviously. He's behind Sonny now, as far as the central striker goes. I think he's possibly going to be behind Brennan Johnson as well, on that kind of that left forward position. I wouldn't be signing him. Certainly not.
Oh, no one's going to go and buy him now. It's more, do you keep him? Because there's a fair chance. There's a fair chance as well that Johnson will start against Fulham, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Johnson for me is ahead of him. No, I wouldn't buy him, and I'd sell him. Especially with the run coming up as well. So we've got Fulham, which it's not even the sort of game forward, Charles. It's going to be a slog. It's not his kind of game. So no, I'd be selling him at the earliest opportunity. There's a lot of players in and around his value. Is he still about 7 million, isn't he? Still around that mark, 7 million.
6-7.
6-7. There's a lot of value around that mark that you can go and switch to.
Yeah, I'd maybe be looking at Matoma's fixtures from 10 onwards. You've got
Mitoma, Diaby,
Moussa Diaby's Villa's fixtures coming up. Yeah, there's a number. What about Kulusevski? I was getting asked about him a lot last week, and Deki ticks over great, but I couldn't help but think people wanted to buy Kulusevski primarily maybe because they just couldn't afford Maddison. That's probably how it felt. Yeah,
quite possibly, and he is ticking over, but once again I think there's more for your money out there. His position seems fairly secure. He's not going to get dropped anytime soon. There's little chance of rotation because we're only playing one game a week. But does he offer enough at 7 million? Looking at some of the other teams with their fixtures, not for me.
No, I agree. I think the players we've mentioned, even at cheaper, would be like, yeah, I'd want to go there. Maybe not. It's not a panic. Like if you've got this week, I think perfectly reasonable, but you'd be looking to obviously move it on afterwards. Interesting though that he keeps playing 90s, Ricky.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen this really. He was kind of a 75-minute man, wasn't he?
He used to run out of steam a little bit. I mean, he's sorted his fitness out, and he's getting some returns. Goal or two, assists. He, as you say, he's ticking over. But if you want assured minutes, he's good. But yeah, there's more bang for your buck out there, I think.
Okay. And how impressed have you been with the two centre backs?
Oh, I was at the point where I was ready to throw Romero in the bin.
I'd have thrown it further than that, mate.
Well, yeah, this whole Argentinian thing, he'd always get a strategic injury a couple of weeks before an international game, and his rashness, stupid yellows. He wasn't the player that we thought he was. Boy, were we wrong.
Now he's the player we hoped he'd be, right?
God, he's even better than we hoped he'd be. the change in him is staggering. I mean, he was always quality, but I don't think his commitment was there. And I'm giving this one firmly back to Ange. He's given him an armband. Romero has fully brought into everything. He's just 100% behind everything. What's a player? What is an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender, and his partner. Bloody hell. I didn't really know a lot about him. I was led to believe that Tapsoba was the main one and that Mickey van der Ven was the backup option. And as always, we get the backup option. If Tapsoba's better than this guy, then that's scary because, my God, he's good.
Many people might have seen a clip going around from the Netherlands-France game.
Yeah,
Malo Gusto getting sent way down the wing, and Gusto is quick. And Van der Ven just eats him by a long way for speed.
And the last probably 5-6 yards that you could see he was easing up as well. I've won this race. He is something else. What an athlete!
Is that what it is for Romero, though? Because in the past I've said I felt sorry for centre backs had to play with him because you didn't know what he was going to do. But now that he knows what his mate's going to do, he feels he can play his game because he knows the guy behind him is so rapid.
Yeah. That
he can go and be aggressive off the ball and stuff like that as well, right?
It gives him that confidence to go and play the game he wants to. And as a centre back, there can't be much more soul destroying than looking to your left and seeing Davidson or Dyer or any one of the Longley. He's got someone there that he trusts. He's got a keeper behind him that he trusts. That makes a world of difference. And yeah, he's really playing his own game. And when he's allowed to, he's brilliant. He's been superb for us this year.
He's 4.5, Van der Ven. Is he being overlooked? Or have you got to pay the extra for the offensive stuff elsewhere?
I think while you've got Destiny that's, what's he now, 4.9. So you get into the stage now where you're going to want to make, if you want to save a couple of quid, you would look at someone like either of them. They've both got goals this season. They're always, certainly Romero is always a threat from corners and set pieces. So yeah, why not?
Someone came to you and said, right, I've got Trippier cash and I've got like a Kabore and a Bayer, and all I can afford because I've gone so heavy up front is a 4.5 defender. Would you recommend someone like him, Van der Ven, or would you be saying like Mark Gay at Crystal Palace, Tim Ream at Fulham, or others? Or would you say, yeah, go and get Mickey?
I would probably say go and get Mickey. We know he can score. That was a lovely bit of skill for the goal against Luton. I think it's fair to say that Mark Gay or Palace's run of clean sheets is not sustainable. I don't think
good fixtures, though. Good fixtures.
Yeah, but with the injuries they've got, they're going to find the next few games a little bit of a struggle. If the Ops injury is for any length of time, that makes Fulham a lot less appealing defensively as well. That they'll be a bit more leaky.
West Ham defenders 4-5 as well. There's a few. They've got a good run as well.
Yeah, West Ham are getting a lot of interest and rightly so. I've just signed Areola. I mean, it's probably more of a price thing in all honesty, but I wouldn't have got him if I didn't think they'd keep some clean sheets. But I don't know if I want to sign the cat kicker.
So Ricky said, "Hope you're enjoying your holiday, mate." If this team stays fit all season,
don't do this. Don't do it, James.
Could we?
If the team stays fit, if we don't lose anybody for any length of time, yes, we could.
No,
Will we is a different question, but
you won't get the answer out of me. Dara, what's the expectations on Fulham now? Because I think with West Ham's performances as well, top 10 looks very challenging this year. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get top 10.
Do you think you'll be comfortably safe?
That'd be the hope. I mean, I think this year compared to last year, so far anyway, there looks to be a bigger gap between the bottom three and the rest of the league, whereas it didn't really kind of look like you couldn't pinpoint who were the three that were going down until very late in the season, and it was down to like 5 or 6 that had been completely cut adrift. Whereas this season, it already looks like you could probably go right there's 4 or 5 after 8 games who are looking in trouble.
Good luck, mate. After this one, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's do correct score predictions before. No, I wish you luck, Dara. Let's do correct score predictions before we finish. But while you're thinking about that, trivia question for you. Who was the last Fulham player to score a winning goal away to Tottenham? Ricky, correct score prediction for Monday week, please.
2-0.
Dara?
2-1 Spurs.
I think it'll be low scoring. I think that, yeah, one of the two. 2-0, 2-1, something like that. Be very surprised if it became a hiding. No, I think you're strong, Dara. And to be honest, I just look at the Man City result as an example. A, you were unlucky with obviously the goal just on half time, and B, Paulinho didn't play. If Paulinho's fit, you're a different animal. So that makes it a tough game. Do either of you know the answer to the trivia question? The last Fulham player to score a winning goal at White Hart Lane was?
I'm going to throw Clint Dempsey out there. No idea.
Was it a former Spurs player as well?
Yes.
Was it Berbatov?
You are correct. The great Dimitar Berbatov. And I mentioned that as well because I saw some people over the weekend comparing Kai Havertz to Dimitar Berbatov. And I know Ricky's a big
Jesus.
And I know Ricky's a big fan of Kai Havertz.
Fuck it. I think the only thing they've got in common is they're not English. That's about it.
It's one of the worst footballing comparisons I've ever heard. And I saw people in response kept showing the goal. Unfortunately, it wasn't a goal for Tottenham. A goal he scored for Manchester United against Blackburn, which is just absolutely absurd. Yes, Dimitar Berbatov, 2013. That's
a long time.
I mean, you haven't played it as every year, but in terms of Premier League games since then, you got a 1-1 draw with us in the COVID year at White Hart Lane, and thoroughly deserved, by the way, that night. Well, of course, it was. Mourinho was in charge for us. But that's your only point in games at White Hart Lane since that win.
That's the one with the Lamina handball, was it? Or was that?
No, that's the same year, but that was at your place, and we won 1-0. We didn't deserve to win that one either, by the way.
Well,
yeah.
Cue a 1-0 Fulham win then, in all honesty. You just set it up nicely, James.
I'm hoping they had all their luck in that Carabao
Raul
Cup game.
Jimenez.
which they absolutely did deserve to win, by the way. Would have been handy if we had a goalkeeper in goal who wanted to actually dive rather than just lay down in penalties. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Ricky, anything you want to promote before you go, mate?
No, nothing from me, I don't think.
Cheers, mate. Follow Ricky Saunders 77 on the Bird app if it's still alive. And Dara, anything you want to plug, mate?
Planet FPL Live 4.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna
He's right
say.
showing you up there, Ricky, you dick.
Oops.
Yeah, Planet FPL Live 4. Cheers, Dara. I hope to see you there Sunday, November the 5th. Tickets are now on sale. There is a link in the bio if you want to come watch the live Game Week 11 review podcast on Sunday, November the 5th. Before I go, Sky Fantasy Football podcast coming up for you tomorrow. One of our patrons, Simon Thorpe's joining me for that. And we've got one more COTC for you this week on Thursday as well. Manchester City versus Brighton with Johnny Pringle and Sam Murray. Just sees me to say thank you so much to Ricky and Dara. Good luck in Game Week 9, gents. Say it, please, Ricky.
Come on, Tottenham.
Cue music, please, man, shout.